So this is the Spectrus Processor interface. You'll see on the left-hand side over here, I have my open data panel, and I have a panel for my chemical structures on the right-hand side. So one thing I just want to point out is if you would like to star a particular folder that you are using regularly, you can do that by simply expanding the location and then selecting the folder that you would like to access on a regular basis. So now you can see that my desktop is available to me as a quick shortcut. So this makes getting to your data nice and easy. Okay, so I'm now just going to minimize this curve, and we're going to start by processing an IR dataset. So I'm going to bring in the dataset and drag and drop it to this window over here. So the first thing that I want to do to this dataset is I want to convert it from absorbance to percentage transmittance, because that is my preferred way of working with IR. So I can do that by going to Process, Transform, Convert Y units, and then select percentage transmittance or transmittance, depending on how I would like to view the data. So I'm going to convert to percentage transmittance, and we'll see that my data is immediately transformed. So now that I am happy with how I am viewing my data, the next thing that I may want to do is start picking the peaks. So I can do that either using the automatic tools or the manual tools. So I'm going to start by taking a look at the manual tools. There are two manual ways to peak picks, either by peak level or you doing it peak by peak. So if I select peak level, I can select the tool and then select the level that I want to pick above. So if I select here, you'll see that all peaks above the red bar on the screen have now been picked. So if that is one way that I can pick peaks, alternatively, if I just press undo to get rid of my peaks, I can select the peak by peak tool. So if I select that tool, now what I can do is if I just simply hover over a peak, I can pick it, and I can go and select the peak of interest. You'll notice that as I'm picking the peaks, my table of peaks on the right-hand side is being populated, which contains the information about the intensity, so in this case, the percentage transmittance, as well as the classification of the intensity of the peak, so wide or spike, depending on the form of your peak. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go to Edit, Clear, and clear all these peaks so I can show you the automatic tool. So the automatic tool is this peak analysis auto. So what I can do over here is I can select this button and it will pick all the peaks above a specific threshold that I have defined in the settings. So if I click the button, you can see that all of the peaks above whatever threshold I have defined have now been picked. So that is a useful tool, and so you don't have to manually go and pick all the peaks. So the next thing that I want to do is start assigning assign a structure to this data set, and then start assigning the peaks to the corresponding functional groups. So there are a couple different ways that I can bring in structures. I can search for them in the dictionary. So if I click this button over here, you'll see that we have a dictionary of about 170,000 compounds. So if I know the name of the compound, I can simply search for it here. Alternatively, I can drag and drop a file with the structure. So this could be a ChemSketch file or a file from another drawing program. Or I can simply draw the structure, which is what I'm going to do now. So I'm going to draw my structure in. Okay. And now I have a structure associated with this spectrum. So if I would like to do some assignment, I can do that using the assignment tool. So if I select the assignment tool, What I can do now is start selecting the specific functional groups. So if I select, say, this carbonyl, you can see immediately that there is a green area that is highlighted. So this is where the software is expecting to see a peak. So I'm going to assign it to this peak over here. I can do the same for my aromatics, as well as for my hydroxyls. And I can do it for this whole carboxylic group. So you can see I am now assigning the peaks according to the functional groups. So what the software is using in the background is a built-in knowledge base. And that is what it is using in order to assist with my assignment. So if I go to Analysis, Assignment, Knowledge, I can access the knowledge base that the software is using. So you can see I have a list of characteristic group frequencies along with the reference that it came from. So if I scroll down, I can go and find the specific things that I am looking at. So if, say, for example, I'm wanting to look for any of these benzene rings, so I've got a monosubstituted benzene ring, I can go and select the area, then you can see the specific peaks are highlighted on my spectrum. So this is something that you can do to use. This is how the software uses an internal knowledge base in order to help you with your assignments. What we also have is if I go to Analysis, Assignment, if I go to Verify, this is a verification protocol that uses the internal knowledge base, again, to determine whether you have assigned all of the features that it is going to expect for the structure that is drawn. So you can see that the structure contains fragments that are not confirmed by the spectrum. So if I go to Structure, you can see that I have not assigned some peaks that the software is expecting for both my aromatic compound, so my monosubstituted benzene ring, as well as for the aromatic acid for my carboxylic acid. So it has failed both of these tests, and this is designed as a tool to assist you with the verification of your structure, of the assignment of your functional groups and the characteristic group frequencies for your IR spectrum. Another thing that you may want to do is annotate the spectrum. So you can do that using the annotation functionality over here. So if I select annotation, I can simply select the peak I want to annotate. And let's say this peak was due to an impurity. I can type in impurity, and then my peak will be annotated. So this is a way that you can annotate and leave remarks on your processed spectrum. So once I'm happy with my processing, the final thing that I may want to do is to create a report. So I can do that either using the standard reporting or by using a template. So templates are fully customizable, and you can create specific templates in order to suit your reporting needs. So I'm just going to create a report using a very basic template that has been designed for UV-IR. So if I click Report, my report will now be generated in ChemSketch. So you can see it contains my spectrum along with all my peak picking, the assignment of my specific peaks of my fragments, my structure, and my spectrum parameters. So these are the spectrum parameters that have been pulled from the raw data file that I opened up in Spectrus Processor. So this report can now be saved as a PDF or kept in a ChemSketch format, and it can be disseminated to other users or anybody that needs access to it.